So Jeremy Wilson says, John and Amanda, what kind of generators do you use on the compound? Looking at options for some power redundancy and would appreciate info. So I have all Hondas. Honda is the tip of the spear. It's the best you can get. You don't have to have Honda. Predator looks really good. I know a lot of guys that have Predator stuff that's coming from Harbor Freight.
I was going to ask if that was the Harbor Freight one.
Because I thought I saw Predator at Harbor Freight.
Yeah, Predator is getting really good rankings and reviews. Toolman Tim has another brand. I don't remember what it is that he likes. He also has some Predator stuff. Generac is good. I mean, everybody's got this little sine wave Whisper Light Eco generators. They're all based off the Honda Whisper Light EU series, and they have an eco mode that throttles down. So during the night, they're very quiet. They sip fuel. When you put power to them, they do rev up and you can hear them a little more, but they're very, very quiet compared to any other generator. They also cost a little more. You're going to buy an EU 1000 is going to go for about $1,000. A EU 2000 is going to be about $2,000. And you're like, but John, I can get this other one for, $500. Well, you can, but anything that's a job site generator that's just a cage, it's like a wireframe with a motor.
It can be super loud.
Really loud, right? And they're not sine wave. They're not, they don't have a inverter built into them, which means you will fry sensitive electronic equipment. So if you're only going, the first one you should get is a sine wave Encompass, looks like a little suitcase. Then you can buy something larger. Really, the real answer is to have multiples. If this is just an occasional storm or whatever, I can tell you that off of a 1000, we powered the whole entertainment center. We were down power for 10 days. We ran the entertainment center for an hour or two while we were in the living room. I would go back and forth between the freezer and the refrigerator at the same time, running refrigerator for a couple hours, freezer for a couple hours, and then at night we would turn everything off and power 2 window AC units in the bedrooms. And we went back and forth for 10 days like that off of a 1000 Honda generator. You can buy them used. Every time there's a storm, people buy them and then they don't ever use them and then they sell them off. It is an investment. Just get you something like that. Now, you're not going to run anything that produces heat through electric costs and takes a lot of electricity and costs more to run. So you're going to unplug everything and run a coffee pot while you run the coffee pot. You're going to unplug everything and run the microwave while you run the microwave. You're just going to have a plug and you're going to plug things in and change them around, but you're not going to run everything. And just be aware of that, right? So just get you something reliable, get you an actual name brand. There are tons of reviews. Now we have a Honda 1000, EU 1000. And the other thing to think of too, are you ever going to not be there when your wife needs to run this thing, right? If it's kept in the basement downstairs, can she carry it upstairs? And these things, you don't have to grab a frame, you don't have to grab handles and wheels, and these things are just like little suitcases, and they work very well. The 1000 is considerably lighter than the 2000.
It's about the size of this board.
Yeah, it's a little bigger.
It's a little bit longer.
So that's something else to keep in mind too. And then storing fuel for it. Now these things, you can also get multi-fuel, which means they'll run on gasoline or propane. You can also set them up to where they'll run on natural gas. They also will come as a tri-fuel, natural gas, propane, or gasoline. There's some tri-fuel ones out there. You just flip a knob and it'll run on that. Now, the natural gas one, if you have a line there for your barbecue on the patio, people will tell you don't do this because it's dangerous if you kink it or puncture it, but they make a flexible line that you can attach and bring that thing, closer or whatever. Now, you're not going to run these in the house, so not really a big problem. The generator's going to sit outside and the plug's going to come through the door. Also, with a generator, you need plugs, you need cords. And there's a big difference in a $10 cord and a $100 cord. Like we were just having this conversation the other day. We have all these contractor cords that are 50 feet and 100 foot. And I buy bright ash yellow cords because you can see them and and contractor cords are much bigger around because they have much bigger pieces of copper inside. It's resistance. And when you're moving electricity distance, you need a smaller gauge cable, right? It actually goes backwards. So a 0 is much bigger than an 8 or a 16 gauge. and they're heavy, but you're going to buy your extension cord is $100 extension cord, and you need to buy it now before you need it. It makes a difference. Those cords get hot when they're small gauge too, so that's something else to think about. But we have a 1,000. We have multiple 2,000s. I think there's a 3,500 floating around, and recently, I think right when the COVID stuff started, we added a brand new Whisperlight 2200.
7.
No, Anna, we bought both. I bought two the same day.
That's
I bought a 7,000. Now, the 7,000's big. It's still in an attenuated housing. It's still an EcoDrive Whisperlight. It's got a battery start, push button start. These things, the new ones have Bluetooth apps on them and shit. They still function without that. And all of these also, even with the push button, they still have a pull cable. So they'll start without the battery.
Redundancy.
So, yeah, make sure you're not buying, like I just bought some red light therapy stuff, and I bought the newer model this company is making, and it has Bluetooth as an app and all kinds of shit. But the main thing that stood out, the reason I bought that, I would not have bought it otherwise. I bought it because it has all the cool shit. It functions without the Bluetooth. You can turn all that shit off, and it still will work. So just be aware of that, and then be honest with yourself. Like, what are you going to run? Like, what do you need? Again, like we were just saying, turn the power off for a couple of days, and go see what you really truly have to have. Right? If you go camping, what do you have to have? I carry around. We've got bug out bags and backpacks and shit, and for years we've had these bags loaded up. But I have items in there that we never use when we take them out. I used to haul a 24-foot enclosed race trailer to the desert, and we'd had all kinds of shit in there. But when we would come home, inevitably, there was always things, about half of the contents we would take, we never used. So, and then when you get other things, right? Like everybody buys jet boil stoves and these little screw-on canister stoves that they put a pot on. Those work great. But as soon as you have like a Coleman stove, you don't ever use that thing anymore. That thing's nice because it can sit in your backpack and you never need it. And if you ever do, it's there. You never use it. You're not going to carry a big 3-burner stove. But once you have that 3-burner stove, and you know what's better than a 3-burner stove? A barbecue grill with a full-size propane tank, right? Yeah. Those are nice. You don't use any of that other shit once you have that. So just be honest with yourself. What do you need?
I wanted to ask you, just for reference, you said you ran 1,000 for 10 days. Do you know about how much fuel you burned through? Yeah,
we were filling it up twice a day, I think. I think we were filling it up twice a day.
So if somebody were to...
It's a small tank.
Yeah, so if somebody said, okay, I'm going to take a 1,000 and I want it to last for 10 days, you're probably going to need 20 gallons?
At least.
Okay.
Yeah, at least. Always have more fuel.
Yeah.
Buy your fuel, rotate your fuel, have 12.
Treat your fuel.
Treat your fuel. Pri-G is the thing to treat your fuel with. Pri-D for diesel. Propane lasts forever, and you don't have to treat it. When you run propane on a when you run propane anywhere on a dual fuel system, you get about 75 less BTU. So a gallon of fuel versus a gallon of propane, you get about 75% of the power production in electricity that you do with gasoline. Gasoline gives you more electricity. Mm-hmm. Gasoline's wet. Gasoline catches on fire. Gasoline goes bad. Gasoline, there's the issues with it.
Yeah. Potential issues.
So just be honest with yourself, man. Try it. You can go to Costco or Sam's Club if you've got a membership at one of those. They'll have some fake Honda type generator. The fit and finish typically is better on the Honda. Just look up Honda EU 1000. You can get them off Amazon, but just go to a Honda dealership or go to a farm store. Tractor Supply has generators. Everybody does. Home Depot sells Generac. They've got a few other things in there. Just get you one of those, man, and then use it, right? Every 90 days, plug that thing in. And then the other thing, too, when you run that generator, you need to turn the fuel off, and a lot of them don't have a fuel cutoff. So install one or be prepared to take the fuel out of that thing. And then once it's out of gas, the gas is either turned off or you just put a little gas in it to run that thing. Run it until it's out of gas. That way there's no fuel in the fuel line. None of that shit's going on. If you can get non-ethanol fuel, get non-ethanol fuel. Treat your fuel. Even if you're running ethanol fuel, treating it will help that. Pri-G is the way to go with that. And then when you cycle that generator, plug something into it, right? Put in a room heater or something. You want a full load on that as you cycle that. Also, some of these generators, when you buy them, they don't come with damn oil in them. So if you're just going to sit that thing in a corner, you're in for a rude awakening when the time comes and you actually need it and you haven't tried it.
That's something that I think a lot of people overlook. They'll buy a bunch of stuff and put it in a room just in case.
I'm guilty of it. Look around you right now.
Yeah. And they don't know, like, in an emergency, and I mean, you know, it's not life-threatening to not have electricity, but it's an emergency if you need it. You want to know how to use it and have it ready to go.
Well, and you want to be able to deploy it quickly.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be cold for 6 hours while they're fucking with putting oil in the damn generator.
If you're cold for 6 hours, it's because your dumbass didn't put some clothes on.
Well, you know what
for
I'm
real.
saying.
I mean,
if it's 20 degrees out,
you said it's not
it's cold.
life-threatening. To dumb people, it is life-threatening.
Yeah.
Look how many people died in Texas when the power went out that did not have to die.
Mm-hmm.
All these, like, you have people that died because their oxygen machines didn't work or whatever. Every one of those people has a car in the driveway. So if they had an inverter, and a 50-foot power cord, they could have had at least one outlet dragged into the house that would power something.
Yep.
But they don't. They just go lay down and literally die.
Yeah.
And that's the deal. Don't be a dumb person.
I always talk about that, like, tomorrow's coming, so do you want to be dead or do you want to just go through this and live, you know? 'Cause
right.
Either way, it's going to suck, but tomorrow's coming, you know?
Right.
Well, that's how working out is.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is coming, right?
Yeah.
Except we're talking about 30, 40 years from now. And it's going to be way better. When you were that old, you were going to be really fucking glad you went to that gym or went on those walks when you didn't want to. And something else, too, while you're doing those things, especially if you do them without noise in your ears, the conversations you're going to have with yourself, you're going to figure out how to work out your problems.
I always say that driving is my therapy because, like, you don't realize it, but you have conversations with yourself and you figure things out while you're driving, you know, because it allowed, like, if you're good at driving, and, you know, I just crashed my car, so apparently I'm not, but
that's not true.
That's a Tennessee thing, babe.
It allows you to kind of be in your own head and not have to worry about the rest of the world because you're stuck there. Like, for me, I don't touch my phone when I'm driving, so I know my phone will never interrupt what I'm doing while I'm driving. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's very valuable. If you could find time to be alone with your thoughts, however you do it, mowing the lawn, same way.
Yeah, lawn's a good one. I have notes on here, right? So I can just voice to text and put down my ideas, and then I can go back and look at them. And if it's something, I'm like, okay, I don't really want to do that. But if it's something worth doing, then I'll put it down in a journal.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll have some concept for shirt or whatever, so I'll send it to art guy, I'll send it to sticker guy, I'll send it to patch guy, I'll send it to her, so tomorrow she's like, what the fuck is this about? So,
every day.
But that's how those things get done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And my thoughts, I have 5 seconds with my thoughts. If I don't act within 5 seconds, they're not going to be done.
Yeah.
So that gets them done.
I know some people who say that if you can't remember it, it wasn't good. That's not me. I like to write things down. You know?
Yeah, half the shit you see that we do, I can't remember. It's because I allocated it, I put it out to several other people.
Exactly. Like, I don't believe that at all. Like, I most of the things that I do, I wouldn't remember doing them unless I wrote it down.
Yeah, people saying that shit, they don't do enough stuff.
Exactly.
They do a very few things.
Yeah.
So, what kind of? Okay, we answered that.
Yep, we answered that.
Nightlife Kennel, what's up? You're a dog hound. You're a hound dog guy chasing raccoons, if I remember.
Hound dog.
And you like Typhon Toxic, I thought. Can you tell the backstory on your relationship with Strider? How y'all met? I like hearing some of the old ones. Man, I don't have that story in me today. It's very long. I was buying, so I bought some Strider knives from a guy named Jim Ramsey. Ran a company called SAW Sales. I think that was the name of his company. He did really high dollar M14s. And I bought some knives from him. And he's like, lifetime warranty, whatever. So you can do whatever to these. So we just had them kind of on our displays at the gun shows. Guys were asking about them. And we started cutting and hacking on table legs and all kinds of shit. And they were like $275, I think, back then.
Ah, the good old days.
And they're like, people are like, why are these knives $275? And I'm like, well, you can cut the leg off of this table. So we're hacking on tables, throwing them into concrete, chipping up concrete floors. I'm like, I can cut your knife in half with it. They're like, what? I'm like, hand me your knife and I'll cut it in half. And we'd hit it blade to blade and cut their knives in half. Shit like that. So Mick was in federal prison at the time for some silly shit. Kind of one of those, make an example of him. And then Dwayne was contracting. He was in Bosnia. He was over there when that stealth bomber or whatever, that stealth plane got shot down. That was his area of operation. And then he came back and we met up and Dwayne was like, hey, we should get a building together. Well, I was in San Diego and he was in Oceanside, which was a 30-minute drive, which really, I could do it in 35 minutes, but if you did it in the time when normal people drove it, it was fucking, an hour drive. So he's like, we'll get it, split the rent, and which meant you'll pay the rent and I'll keep this little closet back here. So electricity was in my name. Everything was in my name. So we shared a building together. And then I took over the other side of the building. And Strider had a little room in the back. They eventually bought a CNC machine, which could not even fit in the building, much less did we have electricity to support it. So they ended up moving to another location, and I had the whole shop. But that's the short version of that story. I have Jade from Starling Gear and from who else did RMJ Tomahawks. Jade will be in here in a couple weeks, and we'll get Jeff probably on that podcast too, and then we'll really give up some not give up, but we'll talk like old school history. Steve Molina, I stored rice and beans in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers around 2012. It was kept in the garage until 2019. Then I moved, and now it's outside but covered area. Forgot to mention the bags are in plastic containers. How long would that last if kept outside in a not climate-controlled area? So, Steve, the real answer is I don't know. You have them, so open up some of them and see what's in them, right? You did label them, right? You know what's in there. Open them and test it. Your problem is going to be your temperature swings, because when it gets hot and then it gets cold, you have condensation.
Get moisture. And
you're going to have moisture in there. So it would be terrible when the time comes that you have thousands of dollars worth of these grains stored. Molded. When you open them, they're molded, right? So you need to know that. So test that now. We put in this building here. What is this? 14,
the one that we're sitting in currently.
14 by 40, I think, almost. 14 by 40 feet. And then we insulated it and put 2 mini split units in here and climate controlled it specifically so that rice and beans and shit was not outside where you'd get those temperature swings. That's what's going to destroy your shit. Open them up and find out. Other than that, I don't know, man.
Not every one of them.
Yeah, just test some of them.
One of them.
Yeah, just test them out and see. Nightlife Kennel again. New Thunderdome, Nick Gillian here. Thanks for everything y'all do. Been a fan and repeat customer now for about 7 years. Question. I got my first child due in May, a boy. Congratulations. I was raised by men to be a man. How do you balance raising a son to be a man without being hard on them? Well, I think you should be. I think you should be hard on them.
You have to.
That's why we have the problem we have is we're not fucking hard on people. We're so not hard that everybody gets a trophy. If it was fucking worth doing, everybody would do it, right? If it was easy, it's not worth doing. So do it. Put in the hard time. Make it hard on the kid and make him fucking earn his shit.
No, nobody that has any success or any money got there through just like kind of plugging away. Like you've got to suffer, you've got to deal with some trials and some tribulations, you got to go through some hard shit to really be able to appreciate what you have.
And people that do have money they didn't earn, they never keep it.
And they're not fucking happy either.
That's why people set up trusts. If the second, third generation, the second generation starts losing it, the third generation loses it all the way. That's why parents, grandparents, they set up corporations, LLCs, they set up trusts so that the money makes money, but the future kids cannot blow the money, right? That's why things are set up in trusts. That's why things are set up in forestation. Land is put into trusts and wet zones and shit, so that the kids cannot lose the property. That's why they do a lot of that stuff.
I'm a huge believer in you want your great grandkids to be better off. Learn how to use money properly and teach your kids. Because when I grew up, it was none of my business, and the reason why it was none of my business is because they didn't have any money.
Right.
They didn't want to tell me. But like a lot of kids were like that. They have no idea. Nobody taught them what to do with money. Mm-hmm. And if you can teach your kids that, then that's a huge resource.
Make your kids do their laundry.
Yeah.
Make your kids cook some of their meals. Yep. Make your kids pick their shit up. Put a structure in place, and then pay them an allowance for it, and then charge them, right? Tax them. Make them understand how taxes work and why they don't want to pay taxes. Put that structure in place so that they understand it, because school's not going to teach them. And keep your fucking kids out of government school. Like, we send kids to school and then wonder why our kids hate us in the future and have nothing to do with anything we believe in. It's because they're programmed by people that fucking hate you.
Yep.
So put the time in there, right? Even if you have to change your life to make that happen. I feel like I'll have a problem being too stern, because I take the responsibility of raising a productive member of society seriously, especially in these days we're living in now. Nah, that's bullshit. Don't worry about that shit. Raise a kid that you want. Raise the child that you want there when you're unable to do the things and the child has the capability to do them, right? You're getting older. Cody goes and does things that I don't do anymore, because I can still do them, but my time is better spent other places, right? I'm just turned 51. Am I 51?
Yes.
But when I'm 65 or 70, I'll still be able to do them, but not as fast as a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old, right? Raise that kid, and those kids will produce other kids, and then you can put the time into the grandkids, right? We take our elderly people and we lock them away now so that we don't have to see them and we don't have to see their decline, when they still have capacity to help raise your children, right? Mm-hmm. Raise the kids that you want to have when you're older, and then help raise their kids, right? And instill those
values.
Yeah, instill that into them, man. Have those conversations, and just put the framework in place now. Charlie Juliet Sierra, why are English subtitles never provided along with speeches made by Hitler except on BitChute? Because a lot of what Hitler says makes sense. There's 10% of what he did that is all that is spoken about. And we don't even tell kids about that now. Kids in high school, kids in junior high, they don't know that the Holocaust even existed. They don't know anything. Look up Holodomor. You hear about the things Hitler did. Stalin killed 100 times more people than Hitler did. Mao killed thousands of times more people than Hitler did, but you only hear about Hitler. And you are in a position right now, the United States is in a position right now when somebody could stand up like Hitler, and you could see a similar thing happen with just a couple more little pieces of the puzzle, right? You had all these people tell you had to have these shots, you had to do all these things, and now it's been busted out that it was all horseshit. And the people whose lives were destroyed could very easily get in a position of power if they would just get together and do terrible punishments to these people that did this. And a lot of them they're just useless idiots, right? All your mask and glove wearers that are still wearing costumes right now, they're just dumb. Those are just useless idiots, right? And when you have communists come into power, they always kill the useless idiots because they're too close to them. And now they realize that it was all bullshit. Those are just little foot soldiers. Those are NPCs. You can run over them with cars and there's no repercussion to it.
Yes.
So just be aware of that.
I think we're a lot closer than we think, too. I was having a conversation about why all of a sudden there's no more vaccine talk. And this might sound crazy to some people, but I wholeheartedly believe that the government job mandates, like if you want to keep a government job, you have to have the vaccine, was to get rid of all the people who thought for themselves.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
agree with you.
Yeah.
Look at the police. Look at Chicago, for instance.
Yeah.
Lori Lightfoot just got rid, in New York, right? We got rid of all the firemen, all the law enforcement. Who wouldn't take that thing? Also, would uphold the Constitution.
Exactly.
So who did we hire? All the yes men. You got all the Kool-Aid hair people in there. You've got all the social justice warriors in there, the touchy-feely.
So now they've got all these soldiers that
Yes.
will do what they're told.
Yes,
just like
that's exactly.
the Nazis.
That's right. Also, I think a lot of the people, they are losing people at an exponential rate now. You have people dying. You now have something called sudden adult death syndrome.
Yeah.
And you have all these kids dying. Elon Musk just purged. I heard the number, and I need to check this. I heard Bette David say they just killed 1.5 billion with a
Yes.
B.
Billion.
I didn't even know there's a billion people on Twitter. They just
Accounts.
They just nuked 1.5 billion bot accounts. So that's why the government's going so insane, right? They don't have that propaganda machine, and they are literally a wounded animal backed in the corner right now. Stay the fuck away from them. They are very dangerous.
So I was thinking about this the other day. Why are they allowing Elon to do this? He's one man.
I don't think they are allowing him. I think that when you're at that position, I mean, can we agree that they killed Epstein?
That's what I'm saying.
Can we agree that they've killed all these other people, right? I think at some point he has the receipts, right? He is busting them out. And I think that you still have a faction of people. You have two factions within the FBI. You have two factions within the Army. You have, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the people in power are not really clear who is who.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I think they are trying to go after Elon Musk. I think that you still have other people who are in strong position that are kind of on his side or are in fact on his side, right? I call that good and evil. I like to think that we're on the side of good, but they are definitely on the side of evil. Why don't you see a bunch of politicians dropping dead from this thing?
Yeah.
Why is that not happening? Because they either didn't take it, or they knew that what was going out there was hazardous, dangerous, or completely insidious.
And therefore didn't take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know, man.
I'm waiting because he's talking about like he's getting assassination threats.
Oh, of course.
And, some guy was chasing his son down the other day. I heard.
Well, he banned those accounts, so they were doxing where the planes were landing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I don't know.
It just seems like a lot of people are looking at him as a savior.
Yes.
But he's not like I know he's got a team, but it's a relatively small amount of people compared to who he's going up against. So I'm just waiting for him to have an accidental heart attack or slip in the shower and fall on a noose,
Oh, no. He would be hung with a red scarf from a fucking doorknob.
We were just talking about that because I heard that it was exercise equipment, but John
No,
was
it's
telling
a
me that
doorknob.
It's a red scarf.
That's all females, though.
No, it's not.
So,
Trying to